Hi, Dr. Karen. Welcome to Champagne and Conversation.
Thank you for having
Cheers.
me. Cheers. I have water.
Oh,
But
cheers.
cheers.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have you here today. And we have been waiting and waiting and waiting to have a part of the CEO Institute. This is certainly going to be a treat, team. I'm going to say that we're in a boardroom today. We just went up on the elevator. We're going to get as much information as we can. Feel free if anyone has any questions to DM me. Also, you will get the website information if you would like to connect with Dr. Karen on your own. I cannot say any more than if we are growing and we are ready to glow, that we have got to prepare. We are going through a lot, and it is totally fine to be ready to speak to someone about some of the things that we encounter. Because, of course, as I have learned in the services that Dr. Karen has been providing for me, if I don't unpack the things that I am dealing with in other aspects, be it divorce, be it kids, just everyday situations, of course, the things that we're dealing with COVID, it does affect what we're doing in a professional state or even in just a personal relationship. So it's very important. And I just love, love, love the opportunity that we have here to spend every moment we can today with Dr. Karen. So with that, Dr. Karen, welcome to Champagne and Conversations. Thank you so much.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Miss B. I
Yes,
am so happy to be here to chat with you and to chat with those who are here. I'm excited about what to talk about today.
yes. Talk about being in the right room. That is where
Definitely.
we are, in the right room. And so many of us want to be. But what does that mean when you're in the right room? Are you showing up in the right room? What do you have to do for that? And we want to definitely ask those questions today and get your advice on, all of the aspects. So with that, your training in psychology as well as strategic planning and development, excellence coaching, and so on and so forth. Please give us more in regards to how you got to this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I have a doctorate in business administration. So actually, I started in the education world with my doctorate in business administration, then went on to get my doctorate in psychology. And so it was important for me as I started in my career was that I found that I was always supporting other individuals. Like I always had a succession plan early on in my career. I would always create how to help others, how to help others. And then when I got to starting to do my work, my dissertation work in my business doctoral program, I wanted to do some research on women mentorship. And when I started that work, I was really excited because I thought, oh, yeah, this is it. I'm going to be able to take this kind of thought process of creating succession plans and helping people grow, that I'll be able to see how women can support other women. It was going to make me all excited. And then once I started seeing the results of the data, and I had a research population of about 1,500 women, and women from starting at a director's level all the way up to a presidency level, CEO level, chancellor's level, if it was a college. And so when I got the results, I was just disheartened because I found that the mentorship that I thought existed in the world of women didn't.
Mm,
And of course, more research
mm.
into mentorship of just, minorities wasn't there either. So it really changed kind of how I thought that I had to do something to make a difference in how people saw mentorship and how people saw how to get support in the process of your growth educationally, professionally, personally, that it all is connected. Leadership is like it's a part of your lifestyle and understanding how to be a leader. And so hence the CEO Institute was born. I mean, there's so much more to that story, but hence the CEO Institute was born, that I wanted to create a program that there was a dyad between me and an individual, and that I would actually walk them through the course of their journey to get them to their next level. Because the first thing I hear from everyone that comes to me is usually that I'm stuck. Like I've been working at this job for this long, or I've been trying to start my business and can't, or I know I need to take this next step into my professional career and I just can't. I just feel stuck. I mean, that was the common denominator that I hear all the time when I'm either speaking or when I do meet with the individual. And that's what we do. I create emotional intelligence leaders and get them unstuck so we can move forward and grow.
So speaking of stuck, are they implying that they're stuck based on creativity or creates or resources, or is it just their mind over matter? What is causing the stuck?
Well, several things, but it's usually us in the way. I mean, the bottom line is what we perceive as things that we should be doing, didn't do, could have done, why haven't we done? And we find ourselves spinning in a place where we cannot get past. And usually the common denominator is fear. And so teaching how to step over fear and leaving it behind you so you can move forward. But fear is a definitely a big one. Again, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. We can get caught up in those, right? We should have did this, should have did that. Right or wrong decisions in our lives where we just have to realize that, decisions are not made based off of right or wrong. Decisions are made off of the information that you have at the time. So the most effective decision is what we're looking for. So it really just helps people in understanding their perception of what things are, because that stuck can mean, as you just heard me say, so many different ways people are stuck.
I think it's so interesting that sometimes I'll have a conversation even with my oldest son. He's 26, and they have learned, I say, the art of manipulation. So instead of actually just owning the fact that I don't know how to do that or I don't want to do that, it's an excuse that goes into this full on story. So we know that they're creative because you've been able to create this situation. However, you're really encompassing the fact that I'm nervous, I'm scared, or I simply just don't know. And why people do not embrace, I don't know, or let me go and find the information, or do you mind finding the information for me? Something to say it, but it's not just my son. There's, a lot of individuals that will just run from the obvious, but they will create this whole matter, even like used to be an argument, just so that they can defer from that situation. I think that that's amazing that people do that as opposed to just addressing it. And when you speak to unpacking it, is something that we have to do, because then you find yourself creating that scenario in business, right, in your personal life and so on. Yeah, yeah.
Right. And if I simply just said to you in that situation, it's like, well, what are you afraid of? Because we don't tackle the F word. And it is a big place that people get stuck
Here.
because we are afraid of things. We're afraid of speaking out. We're afraid of what is the case because societal norms exist, right? So society has already put all of these norms in our minds and in front of us. So we're constantly fighting against these societal norms instead of saying, wait a minute, if I just took the time when we talk about emotionally intelligent, that if we took the time to say, let me just figure out my self awareness space. Like, where am I aware of what it is that I'm afraid of? Or just calling it what it is. If it's fear, call it fear. If it's doubt, call it doubt. I mean, whatever it is, call it what it is. So then we're able to, again, get past it. But a lot of times we just get stuck in those spaces of fear, doubt, worry, not good enough. Oh, that's a big one. Not good enough, not knowing your value. All of these things play a part in why we can't move forward and get to the levels of where we should be.
Let's talk about knowing your value, because I do believe that now that is really reigning supreme in a lot of different environments, especially because, people have lost their employment. So a lot of that was who they thought they were. And, places that they could go that they cannot now. They felt like, now I don't have a purpose. I don't know who I am. I can't sit in a dark room without you know so the value part, what do you share with your clients in regards to having the value or gaining that value, maintaining it?
Yeah. Well, so just to kind of set the pandemic aside, because that's a whole nother conversation of where people are feeling like they're losing something or they've lost something. So we can definitely have that separate conversation because that's grief. and we got to talk about the fact that we are actually all experiencing grief. So
Sure.
that conversation, for the pandemic is a different, because that will affect the value, but it really is because there's something on top of that that we're trying to deal with, and it really applies to grief because we all have lost something. But there's always a great, light at the end of the tunnel when you come from that space.
A
But when
light.
I work with my clients on value, one of the exercises that we do is that I'll let them, I said, I need you to see your resume. And we actually will take their resume and we'll go through the process of reviewing their resume. And what's interesting about that is the moment I ask for a resume, I already realized that they didn't put any value into your resume, because they go, oh, I don't want to deal with a resume. I don't, it just becomes this thing that somebody doesn't want to touch or talk about, or even.
I have to say that was me when I first read your email. I was like, Dr. Karen, I have worked for myself for 20 years.
Right.
What resume?
Right. But see, the resume actually it does so many things that we just don't even realize, that we never kind of said that we should look at as what can
Yeah,
help us. And
yeah,
so and it's an exercise. So, right, if we were to go through a resume or even create a resume, you're
yes.
going to be able to truly see your value the way I have you create the resume. Because I'm not saying to have somebody do it for you. I need you to go through the process and tell me what you bring to the table. And that's the best way for me to at least start having you see your value. Because then you're going to tell me about what you did. You're going to bring, I don't want to just hear a bunch of bullet points of why I'm responsible for this. Okay, great. Now tell me what you brought to the table. Why are people getting value from you? You bring value. So talk about that. And the resume for the program becomes a feeder and so many other things. Like a resume will feed your bio. That's how you pull your bio. You create a resume, you can create a bio. If you create a bio, then you can create a media kit that includes your LinkedIn page, includes all these other things that continue to brand you, because from that, you can create your social media pages. So it really becomes a feeder to a lot of things. And then if you're going to be looking at grants, they want a resume. So it's just opportunities to be able to say, these are things that if I'm in a professional space, even though I'm an entrepreneur, it is important to have those types of documents, because it does create an easier way for you to be able to truly see your value. Because what other thing besides, okay, write a mission statement. Okay, if I write a mission statement, that's good, but it doesn't truly show the value. I rather you do a bio or a resume, because now we got to talk about who you are and what you bring to the table and how you've helped others and how you've moved to the next level and how people can grow from you or learn from you. That's what we're really here to do for everybody.
Yes. And that is important in terms of being able to be included in the room or even understanding the right room. I mean, if you don't know your value, are you in the right room? I think that that's important. Now, I like to live by, I want my team to be smarter than I. One, because that helps me to not have to worry about the right and the left, as I often refer to it. But very often it's just me. So I don't know what else to do. But I think that that's important to maintain a team. Your net worth and your network obviously are, one and the same in essence. I mean, if you think here, you need to have your team here. Is that not really the strategy in terms of where we should be thinking?
Absolutely. But again, we got to get to the point that we believe that we are valuable, because then you're not going to bring in those individuals that are smarter than you. We should. Absolutely. We want to be able to, bring in individuals that can carry some strengths that we don't have. But you know how many businesses don't do that? You know how many organizations, small business owners, especially, who will not do that because of the fact that that means I'm going to have to bring somebody in that I think I know. I started this business. I'm the one that owns it. I know. And until we get to that place where we can say, you know what, I got to bring the strength around me just as much as I can be a part of that strength, but we have to be able to be open for that. And if we don't truly know our value, it's hard for us to bring in somebody who has a stronger sense of something you don't know, or have strengths in areas that you don't have.
So is that considered insecurity?
It is, if we wanted to label it. I don't like to subscribe to a lot of labels because it stops us at that point. The moment I
But if
say
we
something,
identify it, does that help us?
it does and it doesn't. because of the societal norms of the words help us get stuck as well. Because then if you say I'm insecure, then we can either go two ways with that. Either you now ball up in the space of insecurity, or you do say, okay, I'm insecure and I want to do something about it. But if we say, okay, let's not even label it. Let's just say, talk to me about the emotions and what are you feeling? I feel like, I'm not that I'm not confident in myself. Okay, so let's focus on that. Let's focus on those things instead of labeling stuff. Again, societal norms, there's so many labels out there as it is. That's why I don't subscribe to right or wrong. I really subscribe to the fact that if we're going to make a decision, let's make the most effective decision, because that can punch holes in everything that people claim is right, and I can punch holes in everything that people can claim is wrong. So let's just focus on making the most informed decision, and that keeps us out of the space of doubt and regret.
So I believe that going back to the very beginning of when you did the introduction and you created the program based on your data research and noticing that specifically African American women, but even outside of it, just people in its entirety, as we are working together, have that boundary, if you will, or have that standoff where we say we love you or we embrace you or we want to support you, but internally, and I mean what you can't see here, is that really what you are believing? Or is it just here where it's just coming out and it's not really real? So I'm saying that, is that where your data research was coming from? Be it the society norm where we say it's naive, where we say that it's insecurities. Is it why you are speaking to, we had to work together to start bringing each other stronger, making these business relationships stronger, because those layers are there?
Right. So I really would start at the fact of that we all need to be self-aware. I mentioned a little bit about emotional intelligence. So my program is based on emotional intelligence. So I really focus on at least the personal competencies of emotional intelligence.
Sure.
And what that basically means is, like, the three competencies, the personal three competencies are self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. And so the first one is just being aware of these kinds of things that you're talking about. If I'm insecure, I want to be aware that I have that insecurity. I want to be aware that I feel intimidated, or I feel like there's a disconnect between me and others because I think they're smarter than me, or I really don't have a value. I don't believe I have a value. So it all really starts with us. It really, really starts with us. And when we talk about that group of women, when I did the research, they weren't truly aware. A lot of them are only based off of what they were taught, and never taking the moment and say, like, wait a minute, I really just want to be emotionally aware of why I don't do things, or why I do things, or why I feel this way, or why do I think this way, and asking ourselves these questions so then that we can really answer for the true. We talk about being the true, authentic you. You have to be self-aware in order to be that true, authentic you, and then be okay what you find out, because you may find out that you are insecure, or that you have been perceived as being mean, or you are aggressive. There's things that we've all probably been told in our lives, and we either dismiss it or we accept it without doing the awareness part to truly say, why is that in me? Why are people perceiving that? And then, do I really feel that? But it's coming from somewhere. We got to own it, whether it's like it or
That
not.
part.
We want to own it, right?
That
We want to
part.
own what those
Yes.
emotions are.
Yes, they own it. Now, and that goes kind of with the next question, which is validation. We're seeking something even when we aren't verbally owning whatever it is, but we're still internalizing we need a validation. What is that?
Ooh, see, you trying to make me work today.
Woo-hoo! I told y'all, get ready.
And why I say that is that now I would have to break that down into truly operational styles, because we have to realize that everybody is different. So I can't put you in the same box that I can put the next person, and we do that every day. The moment we say, well, they should know, the moment we say that, we've now taken that person and put them into our own operational space. because I'm saying to them that you have to know because I expect you to know. But then how are you going to tell me that when I wouldn't even have a clue to know? So I would have to literally break us all down into operational styles. I mean, if I went with just the four quadrants of just, there's somebody out there that thinks as a focus on thinking all the time. There's somebody out there that's always focusing on getting things done. There's somebody out there that really thinks on helping and supporting people. There's somebody out there who just likes to plan and organize. So just those four quadrants alone represents a mask of individuals. And then from there, how do we then get to unpack how they really true feel about themselves? How do they own themselves and own what comes with those four quadrants even? So it really would be about us breaking us all down into truly saying, do you know how you truly operate? Again, do you know the authentic you? Do you really know it? And are you owning what you find out? Whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, do you own it?
That's good. Yeah, I like to sit with that for a moment. Now, I know that we are coaching as it relates to business. However, I just would like to find out, do you think that, or does anything suggest that the love languages from a personal aspect spill over into business?
Absolutely. Let me say, I subscribe to all of these amazing tools out there, and I use some of them within my program. And love languages actually are one of them, because absolutely, because just in thinking about the love language, let's not even say if we talk couples, let's just talk individually. If you broke down and really understood that your love language was acts of service, then you need to realize that you got to love on you that way. So just
Mm,
using it for you. I mean, like no one has taken the love languages and turned it around
you're
and
right.
say that let me just look at these and say where am I giving it to myself? If I expect others to give it to me in my love language, why am I not giving it to myself? Going back to value. If you don't understand what you deserve, what you need, then you're not getting it. And so for then you don't believe you're valuable.
And then you expect it from someone else that may not be able to, create that opportunity or create that situation for you. But
Right.
then your expectation is there, which means then you are now
Yeah,
frustrated, disappointed.
yeah, and how can you set an expectation without telling people? We do it all the time. We set expectations, but we don't set them.
You
So
don't.
like you can expect today, you set an expectation for me to speak about a certain topic, but then I don't. But you set an expectation in your mind that I was going to speak about a specific topic. So then you go, well, I don't know why she didn't speak about that topic. But did you set the expectation for me to speak about that topic?
Or did I even put forth the efforts to get you to speak about it? Did
Exactly.
I own my part of asking you to speak about it? And
Exactly.
that is something that is huge. And ladies and gentlemen, team, family, loved ones, whomever is watching, I hope that you all are pen and paper and applying this. We have the lovely, lovely, and beautiful Dr. Karen. I want her to give you all her information now so that if in fact you are at a point where you would love to speak with her, you have the opportunity to reach out to her and set up appointments. She's busy, but she will get to you. And the syllabus looks like this. So if you really,
Real. This is real stuff. I'm
she
putting you to
sent it to
work.
me, I was like, yeah.
This is real stuff
But
because
please
because
give
I,
them
I I
the
operate in the results. I operate in full results. We want results. I want to see you grow. I'm committed.
grow so we can glow. Now, your website.
The website is www.mkcircle.com.
And this is Dr. Karen, mkcircle.com, and her organization, CEO Institute, executive coaching. And again, that may be something that you all aren't real familiar with why it's labeled executive coaching, but it is from that level. We are on that level. We're playing chess. So at that point, we want to talk from that point. However, unpacking some of the other things that will help us to get to that point if we aren't already there is important. I know that some of you all watch Billionaires, and there's a Dr. Wanda on Billionaires, and this is our Dr. Wanda. If you
I'm,
watch Billionaires,
I've been
have you heard that?
I have heard that. I've
I'm
heard
sure
that.
you've heard that. That's
Ah.
how you were introduced to me. So if you are on that level, and even if you aren't, it's okay. We all have a space. We all have an interest, and that's something for me because I look for the left and the right and the room and the people that have the same vision or kind of share the same language. I have to understand that not everyone wants to be at the top of their game. You
Mhm.
know, especially when I was in other spaces and other types of profession, those folks were okay being okay. They were good being good. And I used to say, how is that possible? But then I guess they would look at me and say, well, how are you possible? Why do
Mhm.
you want to be stressed out all the time? Or, always trying to figure out the next thing. So
Right.
I think that when you mentioned it is all in the quadrants as it relates to understanding who we are, I think that's important. But now, law of attraction, how do you take that? What do you feel about that part?
Well, it's so funny. Of course, I have so many clients that are always like, okay, then help me, Dr. Karen, match with the right operational style because I need to find the right man. I need to find the right woman because I'm now finding out that my spouse and I are opposite. And I tell myself, there's definitely a way you can utilize the operational styles to do that work. However, it really is sometimes the opposite attract does work. It all depends on who's trying to give. So we have to remember that we all have to look at the adjusting. I don't necessarily say change because you can't change grown folks, but what we can do is we can adjust. And so if we are over here and we are the person that's always thinking about something, but then the person over here that's always doing is attracted to this person that's always thinking, there's going to be some disconnect there because we're talking high energy and we're talking really kind of conceptual thought process, very different in how they see and perceive things. However, that means that you got to decide who's going to do the adjustment and how much adjusting are you willing to do. So those could work just as much as if you found two people that were conceptual and thinking all the time, they would work very well together. Just like two people who are doing, they would work well together. So do I go out and find the operational style that matches me? It definitely would work. It would actually work quite well, but I've also seen the opposites work. So it all depends on how much work you want to put into the relationship. And
That
my
part.
husband and I'm happily married. But it is definitely because I understand his operational style and he understands mine. Plus we really focus on using the love languages. I mean, we really put the work in for our relationship to be what it is today. He's my best friend, and that's because that we've put the work in so then that we can be at a level where we can really effectively communicate and be as effective as we can within our relationship.
So the willingness to want to do the work is part of the relationship and the growth. Whatever it is, you just are willing to do the exchange or, kind of join in, participate. Because I think
Absolutely.
that's a lot of the times what happens is that someone fails to participate and that expectation remains. And then constantly it's just, you just kind of start chipping away at disappointment, disappointment, disappointment. And then it's just like,
But we've
okay,
never set the expectation, right? I say to my women clients that if you on Valentine's Day say, my boyfriend or my husband knows that I want flowers he should know that I want flowers on Valentine's Day. So the moment we said he should know is the moment we should realize he doesn't know. And I'm not, and now fellas, I'm not trying to let you off the hook here, but the fact is that if the expectation wasn't set that that's what you wanted, then there's an opportunity in between for it not to happen because the expectation wasn't set. And it also again applies to his operational style because if he's more of a helper and more of a doer, it's a possibility that he is going to do that. But if you got somebody that's more of a thinker over here thinking about stuff all the time, he may not do that, even though he's done it for you a couple of times. It really is about understanding your mate, understanding again who you are, and being able to set the expectations and not being afraid, again, the F word, right? To set the expectation of what you want.
so saying he should know I want flowers, or saying he knows that I don't like carnations, or he knows that I have to have them on Saturday. Am I saying the same thing or am I saying three different things?
Well, again, it's about setting the expectation based off of how he hears you, how he learns, how he understands, going back to the love languages as well. how are they hearing you?
Yeah.
Because if you could be talking and if they don't do small talk, then they're not hearing you.
Small talk is what?
Well, it could be considered in some cases nagging, some cases just constantly saying the same thing over and over again. Repetition is not something that certain individuals don't like repetition. And if it keeps getting said, it just becomes, you know, you now don't hear it at all.
Falls on deaf ears at this point, at that point. But I don't like carnations, but I do like roses. As long as you hear that, then you know that I should expect flowers.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because see, now we're just so no time for subliminal. Let's be grown, right? There's no time for subliminal messaging. If you want it, say you want, honey, buy me some roses because I want some roses from you.
Yes.
And know that these roses make me happy. So buy them.
Now, sometimes we will get the other half to say, well, take my card and just go get them. But you should say then, okay, or no, I would really prefer you to go and get them and bring them to me.
So again, you have to understand their operational style, because if it's not something that they do, if or let's go back to love languages, if acts of service is not their thing, then they got to work at that. And you guys have to have a conversation about working at that, right? You would have to have some dialogue about him, her working at that. Because if not, then it just becomes, again, one of those things that it'll start and then it'll stop. Again, this thing called relationship is work. That's a whole nother conversation, right? It is work, but it's work that we have to put in.
The love language, quality time, which is huge,
right?
And the act of service, which is what us Southern ladies know is what used to do is cooking and making the plate and moving around the whole time, and someone say, would you just sit down, you know, that kind of thing.
But for us, it's taking out the trash, mowing the lawn. I mean, those are acts of service for us, helping us with the kids. I mean, those are still acts of service on the female side.
Okay. And then the other two are
physical touch.
Yes.
And what do we get? We got acts of service, physical
quality
touch,
time,
and words of affirmation.
Yes. So that's the big one. That was what we were talking about before, the words of affirmation. And that goes to anywhere from your hair looks nice today to, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see you later today, or whatever in between.
Yeah, you look beautiful. Any of that. Absolutely. Yes. But again, for the men, you look handsome.
Yes.
You know, you killing it today. I mean, we have to remember as women, it goes both ways. It can't just come on one side. You know, we got to work for it just as much as they have to.
Yes. And I think that too, if you show what it is that you enjoy or you like, it should reciprocate. That might be an expectation that's wrong, but that was just what I was taught, is if you show it, it should come back. Now, sometimes it comes back in the short form because it's not long lasting, but you know,
it's not their love language probably, right? Or it's not a part of their operational style.
And it might not be who they are.
Right. And the more we understand, the more we understand that their love language, their operational style, how they operate, the more we do know what we plant will work. So if you're going to plant a seed, you got to make sure that at least they're ready to germinate and pick it up. You know, if not, then we got to be clear about how they operate. So then we know what is the best way for you both to communicate, the most effective way to communicate.
And we're not going to stay here in the relationship part, because I do want to make certain that we touch on the business, but transitioning from that, and we're in a COVID situation for those folks that are fortunate to have had a companion in the midst of the COVID. Those of us that did not, we just learned ourselves well, but those that had to share something, you know, how is that? I mean, what would you say? I mean, we may be in this another 30 days, we may come out of this in 2 weeks, might be in it to the end of the year, in terms of communication, because now all of that has been amplified. And you and your husband are obviously, you say you all are best friends. So is the best friend part of it what sustains it, or the give and take, the given space? What is it that you suggest in regards to where we are now with relationships and being home?
Well, we were intentional, of course, we're intentional about understanding who we are. So we know our operational styles, we know our love languages, we really know how each other operates. So that's crucial. What's big for him is like physical touch is big for him, where that's not big for me. But I know I have to make it a point to focus in that space and shift in that space because I can grow there. I grow if I learn how to do that more. I'm learning, I'm uncomfortable. So I like when I always tell my clients, if you're uncomfortable, you're growing. So if that's the uncomfortable space for me, then I work at that so I can do better in that area. And it's amazing that when you do that, then all of a sudden they want to do for you in your
Whatever.
area. And so we know that about each other. So that's the big part. And then, we're big on date night. So we created date night on Friday nights. It was date night uh post pre-COVID. And we just continued date night. So we really made it a point to do something fun, create something fun within that Friday. I just think every couple should not discount date night. And even when you have the kids, you still got to figure out a way to be able to do something that represents time with you and your spouse together. So that is important for us. And then I think the third thing, what I would say is definitely effective communication, but that also comes back to how he receives communication versus how I receive communication. Oh, and actually, the last thing I would say is laughter is just a big part in our home. So we just laugh about stuff. Sometimes he'll tell a story. Just recently, we had to go to the grocery store. Well, this is kind of maybe a couple of months ago when COVID, we're kind of in the middle of the COVID thing, and we went to the grocery store. And again, tensions are high because you've been in the home, and I work from home, he works from home, nobody is going out.
Okay.
And so we went to the store. And again, my operational styles that I like plan, I like order. So I like certain specific particular things. And so it was napkins. We were in the napkin aisle. And so he said, I'll go get the napkins. And I usually say, no, 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 I'll get the napkins because I know what I want. And so why would I set myself up to get something I don't want and be in a situation? But he went to go get the napkins. So of course, the napkins in the grocery cart are definitely not the napkins I like. And so I go, I
Was
don't
he
like
expected to know
napkins.
that?
No, but that's the whole point. I didn't set the expectation. See, I would be the first to say I didn't set the expectation. So that's why I got the wrong napkins. So we laughed about it later because it's like we're in the grocery store, like, seriously, we gonna argue about napkins, and this is where we've come to napkin arguing in the grocery store.
Well, that's
And
great. That's
we
great.
were able to laugh about that later, though, with friends, because I think we had several friends that kind of had those little episodes of like we were arguing about craziness, that we had to regroup and go like, okay, wait a minute, slow down. Everybody needs to go to their corner and really process self because we're in a space where tension is unnecessary here.
Yes.
But we laughed about it. Of course, that napkins was our nemesis for that week at least.
And see, for me, it's been, not only just in quarantine, but beyond quarantine, it's just been, a little while, in terms of relationship things. But I have always said I don't want the date night. I want every night to be a date night. So with that, when I think of date night planning, I'm like, oh, that sounds so, because then that means it's going to stop and start. And when I have a stop and start, I have a problem with that. I
Mhm,
want it to just continue to flow. So we might do a little bit of date night tonight, and then it might be a part two to that the next night, or it may not be because of time and
mhm.
scheduling. But I just think that having to plan that part, I love the spontaneity in situations. And obviously in our lifestyles, most often spontaneity is not an option because everything, as you stated,
Right.
has to be planned. I don't like all of that. I mean, I
Mhm.
have to I have to plan these things. I don't want to plan.
Right.
For real,
And so,
if we don't
but
want
in
to do
your
it, we don't want to
case,
do it.
but in your case, we have to still there's still another person involved, right? So even though you like that, there's still another person involved. And let's say that person prefers to plan. So that's where my husband and I we trade off. So he gets to do it his way, and then I get to do it my way, and we both respect the way that's gonna, and we of course receive whatever comes from the way we both do it. So if you decide I'm gonna do a little bit during the week and that's gonna be our date night, then he was like, okay, cool. But how I'm gonna plan date night is I want to plan Friday for date night. So both get to do it your way. So then everybody gets, a taste of how it looks. But we can't say, so now that we did it my way, we should always do it my way, because there will be a reason for a disconnect if we do that.
Yes. Yes. So we got that part. We are ready for relationships. We've made it through COVID, and now we're ready to start back in business and getting some things together so that we do not encounter what we encountered going into COVID this time, the unexpected. And obviously being able to align ourselves with what is really internal and being able to confront that, being able to be true to ourselves, understanding who we are, speaking these love languages, getting these relationships balanced. We should be taking the training wheels off and ready to go to a full ride of business, be it a small business for just something on the side and our normal 9 to 5, or a full-on organization where we're developing and creating. And that is the part that you, by day, I would say, operate from. And we want to talk about some of that in your coaching, your styles for leadership. How are you, and obviously you have maybe a little bit of a difficult situation now because you're having to coach leaders at home. You're having to coach leaders through this COVID, and they're not able to directly get in a room and touch people like they used to, which could be effective for them as their language. They now have to communicate whatever they feel over Zoom meetings. So how is that part of it working out in terms of your
Mhm.
coaching, what you have to do?
Right. Well, so it's definitely understanding that we all have to know that there's going to change is inevitable when it comes from the place of professional setting and just the world. I mean, this is a perfect example, right? We're in the midst of this change that we had no idea was coming. So as a leader, we always have to know that there is adjustments that will be made, and we have to always be prepared to make those adjustments. That's what makes you a good leader, that you can adjust if necessary. So understanding that there's adjustments is the first thing, and then from there is still understanding your, just as much as you have to know your operational style, you still got to know how your employees are coping through a COVID situation, because you can't talk to one way. We can't talk to everybody the same way. You really do have to have these kind of conversations that represent who they are and how they receive things. When the companies that I work for organizations too, and so I do executive coaching for organizations. I help them, a lot of companies, I help them build their leadership bench. So I start with maybe entry level managers and really teaching them the emotional intelligence to leadership, but then also helping them understand how to be effective leaders, and then strategic leaders, teaching them how to do strategic planning, strategic decision making, and really focus on strategy. But they all have to understand who they are, as we've talked before. But then it's important for us also to know who are you communicating with? And again, not putting people in your box. You have to know that we're all different, and we have to communicate to each other, knowing that we're all different. Active listening is an important tool, but really to the level of knowing who you're talking to at that level of active listening, not just a generic you listen, then you repeat back. Because if you're not receiving it, then listening and repeating back just means nothing. So it really is about being all in. Leadership is really about being all in, and understanding who you're working with to help people make better decisions, and really being not so much of the fact that I'm the boss, but knowing that there's just a part of this that you're going to have to be in the team. Right now, employees need that piece of the manager or leader being in the part of the team, but then also being trusting enough to say that you guys can get your job done, and I don't have to, watch you, because I can't watch you now through Zoom. So
Right.
right, it's been hard for a lot of leaders though, because letting that part go, if they are a planner and a controller, right, that's a hard thing for them to let go. But then we go, like, if you don't, you're going to just drive yourself to a place of misery, because you can't control it. You're really going to have to figure out the trust factor. Now, if you need people to check in or whatever the case may do, but we have to put things in place that are structural, but then also open it up so people can actually have good dialogue, because that's where, again, good leadership comes from, just being open to have good dialogue.
Oh, that was good. Oh, that was good. You have to be able to trust and understanding what is the process and
Right.
then knowing the communication aspect. That's good. And that's on both sides. That's where we just left with relationships and now we're headed to the work environment because those two things can collide if you're not clear on that. I mean, that's the trust factor. I can say more times than not, there's a lot of distrusting people. It's just, and you can always tell by their approach to, a transaction in business. It's always the contracts read one side, and I'm saying, did I just miss something? But this is all you. This has nothing to do with the other parties that are signing here. Again, a trust factor. And that goes back to why you created the program. It's just, understanding what that trust is. I think that I would suggest that you create another program on people dealing with trust because for whatever that is,
Yeah.
it is a hard part to move past for a lot of people. And communication then weighs right in behind that is I don't trust this, so I don't know how to communicate that.
Mhm.
And then that enables you to be able to do some of the other things. I think, and that's just my experience with so many people that I've worked with. So I would suggest that yes, the next program is a trust factor. That's good, a trust factor.
Well,
But
within the program, because see, even though it is a subscribed program based off of the syllabus, that each program, each
syllabus is here,
individual, yes, yes, each
and it's
individual,
pages.
but each individual program is really different because I focus on you. So through that, if we find that there's some trust issues, then we're going to deal with that because I know that's going to you're going to need that to be more effective. So we're going to work on that. But then there might be others that's like, no, I'm good with trust, but I'm not well with my self value. So now we got to focus on self value. What we do is I find the areas that we need to work on. And that's what we will work on for each individual. So the coaching, what makes it so beautiful is that dyad between me and that person is that we really hit the areas that affect you, and that's going to make that we need to make to help you get to the place where you feel more effective, where you feel at that level that you want to be as a leader. But we have to individually, like really subscribe it individually. So yes, we try our best to touch everything that's in that syllabus, but sometimes we may be right here in this one space just on trust for a good month because we need to unpack some stuff so we can really address it. But then once we get past it, then all of a sudden these wonderful epiphanies come out of it because now they understand the trust, understand why they don't trust because we've done the self-awareness. So we've tapped in, pulled it out, and then realized what it was, and then decided if, because sometimes it might be something that somebody did to us and we got to give it back. So there's exercises involved that I might say, you know what, we got to give that back because that doesn't belong to you. You're holding on to something that's not yours. Somebody gave you some reason to not trust. And so now you got to return it so then that you can trust.
How
So
long are your programs?
the executive coaching program is 12 months. So we ask for a 12-month commitment. And
Okay.
the one once a month. Um, so we meet once a month and we really just hit, of course, the syllabus, the stuff within the program, but we definitely digress into areas that are more focused on the individual because that's really what executive coaching is about. I mean, I can't create a fully subscribed program and make sure that I hit every point because it's that's not what this is about. It's about your personal growth, and because your personal growth comes into your professional growth.
And if someone feels like they need additional time, is there an opportunity to add to the 12 months, like 2 times a month, 3 times a month, or is it just 1 time a month?
Yeah, so there is 2 time a month. So there is where you meet twice a month. And then those are usually, we really focus on program for one of the sessions. And the second one is really about problem solving, addressing issues specifically that you want to focus on, that we use the tools from the program to be able to help and for discovery and help for growth. And we utilize the tools. And so now you get really practical stuff that you bring from the day into our space and talk about it. As a practitioner, I still hold the client practitioner responsibility of that. Whatever you say within our space is yours. So we make the space free, because a lot of individuals who are at the high levels that I work with don't have this free space. So it's so necessary for somebody to have a space that I can come to Dr. Karen and I can talk about whatever and whoever, because it's not like she's gonna pick up the phone and call them and go, did you know
Right,
such and such was talking about you? You know,
right,
that
right.
is not what this is about. You have your free space to really pour out the things that you know possibly have been affecting you, or we figure out what they are so we can get past them to keep you moving in the right direction. My goal is to set the trajectory so that you're constantly going this way.
And you speak of the bottom line when you mention the overall, I guess, objective or expectation from the leadership perspective is being able to maintain a bottom line or be able to reach a bottom line when it comes to leadership and the team that is working with the leadership. And with that, are you achieving that through these programs in terms of the conversations, or is there a strategy, a formula? What are you using to be able to reach that bottom line?
So there's several tools that we use, several strategies. The biggest one is really that what I see is really understanding the whole competencies of emotional intelligence. Strategy lies in that space. Also, understanding your operational style, strategy lies in that space. And so those are the ones that get you to when we're at the core, at the bottom. You know, those are the areas of where we talk about strategies, because I really want to always get you thinking in a way where is it perception or is it true? And we want to be at the true space. So we have to constantly question what we perceive versus what we know.
Because
Um,
perception often does what?
well, perception can put you in a place where you misunderstand, right? Or you're wrong in your perception. And so if that's the case, then now we have to dig out of what happened that made us make a decision based off of perception. I want you to make decisions based off of the most effective information that you have. So we want to get the most effective information, data, whatever it is that we need to make an effective decision. So you'll hear me consistently say effective, effective, effective. Because if it's not something that's going to be effective, then what is it?
Yeah, you
If we're
said that to
looking,
me the other
right, if
day
you're looking
before we
for
finished.
mediocre, if you say, well, Dr. Karen, I just want mediocre. I don't do mediocre, but if that's what you want, then that's where we're gonna go.
That is not part of the love language. Don't know where that lies anywhere on the left or the right. Sorry. But in case you want to, we'll figure it out. We'll look at the dictionary, figure out what that word is. But
Right,
right,
right.
and that goes along with what my girls talk about. My friends, we talk about settling, and I think that that is very much that same
Mhm.
term. In terms of just allowing for the okay. I don't, and I know that we might
Yeah.
have done that in some part of life and
Mhm.
whatever, and that could be a job. This is okay for now because I need to work, or
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
person is.
if it's a means, right? If it's a means to an end, because a lot of my entrepreneurs saying that, I'll say, yeah, we got to work this 9 to 5 because you need something to fund the entrepreneurial adventure that you're on, or venture that you're taking. So yeah, sometimes we do have to, but then at least there's a plan with that, right? There's an ends to a means, so that you say, yes, I'll do this job, but this job is going to fund this
Right.
amazing thing that I'm going to do over here.
Plan.
Because the bottom line, we need money to create businesses,
Right.
some form of capital.
Right. Yeah, I think that all of that is definitely applications to next steps and where we are. And again, let's get your website, which is.
mkcircle.com.
Yes. And we have Dr. Karen. She has been amazing. She's been giving you all a lot of information. So I hope that you are happy that she did a full session with me and I shared that session with you. And being able to be introduced to our Dr. Wanda from Billionaires. If you aspire to be that. If you do not, it is fine wherever you have or whatever your interests are. But I am praying and hoping that everyone is continuing to grow and glow and work towards these necessary measures to come out of COVID strong, to be able to get into strong relationships or build stronger relationships, both in your personal as well as in your professional. And these are the tools that you need to be able to get through that. And obviously this was a quick touch base, but it was a good one. We do
Oh, good.
appreciate you, Dr. Karen, for being able to share some insight with us. And anybody that has any questions, feel free. You can
Yeah.
DM us. You have Dr. Karen's website, and of course, you have my Instagram DM that you can send. And also, Dr.
I
Karen,
have,
if you want them to send you a DM as well, please share
sure,
your.
yeah. My social media is Dr. Karen Exec Coach. So DrKarenExeCoach. And then also, if I can, Valencia, I was going to suggest too, and I know a lot of people heard me talk about the operational style. If anybody wanted to do that assessment, it is also on the website. So you can, go on our website and it'll say do operational style or in the top of
Yes.
the menu at the top menu. So if people wanted to go to our website and just kind of get a better understanding of what I mean by operational style, you can go and actually take the assessment. And from there, you really will see the value just in taking the assessment. And then from there, you can also set up an introductory meeting with me if you like, and we can chat about your growth goals and we can talk a little bit more about the program.
And just so you know, my introductory meeting just lasted longer than it should. So she does have those conversations.
Yes,
I
there's
had a
30
lot to
minutes.
unpack.
There's,
30
there's
minutes
30
is what
minutes.
she, we had a lot to talk about. And and we still have a lot to talk about. And I shared that with you all today. So I got my part, and I hope that you all got your part. And Dr. Karen, I know that you are busy, busy, and we appreciate your time. We are so, so happy. And we may have you back maybe by the holidays so we can check on everybody and see how they're doing. Prayerfully, we're out of COVID at this point and celebrating.
Right.
Yeah, we'll put that in the atmosphere and hope that we have something stronger to say. Everybody's good, everybody's created
Right,
new
right.
business, and we're ready for the next phase. I guess we'll make 2021 that year now, since 2020 didn't
Whew.
actually happen the way.
Right, right. I mean, it's funny. The theme for 2020 that I shared with all my clients was growth and elevation. Now, I didn't know what I was asking for, right? Because we have a whole different level of growth that we all have achieved through this process, and
Absolutely.
elevation. Like we really had to challenge ourselves in spaces that we never thought we would have to challenge ourselves. And so, I definitely still think it is growth and elevation, just from a different perspective than what I expected. But it definitely has been that for a lot of individuals.
Well, we always know that it's not necessarily our plan. It's just the plan that is put in position. So if that was the way we had to grow, might have been a little difficult, but we're getting there. We're
Right.
we're we're having conversations and we're connecting with people that we may not have done that had we been in the same busy space. So I think for that we do need to be thankful for, and we're thankful for the opportunity to meet you and talk to you, and hopefully everyone has gotten what they need from that. But if not, she's given you the inlets to be able to contact her and get more and more information. And I wish you all the best of success. And I thank you, Dr. Karen, for spending some time with us and sharing the information you have on your institute and the personal, which was amazing. I think that that's so important right now with everyone going through. And it's okay, people. We can talk. We can talk to those that we don't know. Therapy is not something that's, we should look at as, oh, it's the forbidden. It's
Okay. That's
okay. It's
right.
okay.
It's necessary.
Thank you so much. I'll give you the proper way. I had to put my business attire on today, so we'll do it the proper way. We'll do the cheek kisses instead of the other way. Thank you, Dr. Karen.
You're
You,
welcome.
we
Thank you so much for
appreciate you.
having me. This was great. I enjoyed it, and I would definitely take you up on coming back in December. I have a great little a tool to share with you all, because I do at the end of the year that we need to do some purging at the end of the year. So
Oh,
we'll do
yes.
that in December.
I hope at the end of the year I have so many other things to say, but we'll see.
You will. You will.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Everybody, Dr. Karen, we love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.